10 SHIit cars from the 1970s that only poor people could afford. The 1970s brought us disco, bell-bottoms, and some of the worst cars ever to hit the road. While the wealthy cruised in flashy muscle cars and luxury rides, budget-conscious buyers often had to settle for some of the most failed 70s cars, plagued by underpowered engines, questionable designs, and subpar build quality. These vehicles weren't just cheap, they were frustrating to own and left drivers regretting their choice. Today, we're counting down the top 10 failed 70s cars that barely delivered on their promise of affordability. From awkward styling to performance that left much to be desired. These cars are proof that budget-friendly often meant buyer beware. If you enjoyed this nostalgic look at some of the worst 70s cars ever, don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe to Muscle Car Masters for more deep dives into automotive history. The 1971 AMC Gremlin. The 1971 AMC Gremlin is one of the most memorable oddballs of the 1970s. It was AMC's bold attempt to take on the growing popularity of imports like the Volkswagen Beetle and Toyota Corolla by offering an affordable, compact car with personality. Unfortunately, while the Gremlin had ambition, it also had its fair share of problems that kept it from becoming a true success. Let's start with its design, if you could call it that. The Gremlin's unique look came from slicing the back off AMC's larger Hornet model to save money. The result? A car that looked like it had been chopped in half. While AMC called it forward-thinking, most buyers thought it was just awkward. That boxy rear and steeply sloped roofline gave it a quirky charm. But it wasn't everyone's cup of tea, especially compared to the sleeker imports of the time. Under the hood, the Gremlin didn't do much to excite drivers either. The base engine was a 3.8-liter inline-six, making 90 horsepower. Just enough to get around, but not exactly thrilling. For a bit more power, there was a 4.2-liter inline-six option, but even that wasn't much better. And for the truly adventurous, AMC offered a 5.0 V8, which was an odd choice for such a small car and made it feel out of balance. The ride wasn't great either. With its short wheelbase, the Gremlin felt nimble in the city, but rough and jittery on bumpy roads or at highway speeds. Inside, it was no frills. Basic materials, minimal features, and cramped rear seating made it feel cheap. Add in common issues like rust, leaks, and electrical problems, and you had a car that wasn't exactly winning over fans of reliability. Still, the Gremlin wasn't all bad. It was small, easy to park, and came in bright colors and sporty trims that appealed to younger buyers. But in the end, its flaws overshadowed its strengths, leaving it as a quirky but flawed chapter in American car history. 1974, Ford Pinto. Switching gears to another misstep in the budget car segment, the 1974 Ford Pinto stands out in history for all the wrong reasons. Introduced as an affordable, practical solution for compact car buyers, the Pinto promised efficient transportation. Yet, it became infamous for a design flaw so severe that it overshadowed every other aspect of the vehicle. The root of the problem was its poorly designed fuel tank. Positioned dangerously close to the rear bumper and inadequately protected, the tank was prone to rupturing in rear-end collisions. While this vulnerability wasn't entirely unique to the Pinto, the real scandal was Ford's internal decision to prioritize profits over safety. Engineers proposed a reinforced design that would have cost an additional $11 per car. But Ford rejected the change, opting to risk lawsuits over increased production costs. When the public became aware of this choice, it led to a massive backlash, branding the Pinto as the poster child for corporate greed and negligence. Beyond its safety controversy, the Pinto wasn't exactly a standout performer. The base model came equipped with a 1.6-liter inline-4 engine, producing a lackluster 54 horsepower. Even when upgraded to the 2.3-liter engine, the car offered little improvement in terms of power or excitement. Acceleration was sluggish, taking an eternity to reach highway speeds, and its uninspired handling left drivers unimpressed. The ride quality was another letdown, as the Pinto struggled to balance affordability with a comfortable driving experience. 1976 Chevrolet Chevette. The 1976 Chevrolet Chevette highlights the dangers of prioritizing economy over quality. Launched during the energy crisis, the Chevette was GM's answer to the growing demand for affordable, fuel-efficient cars. Unfortunately, in their rush to compete with imports, GM delivered a car that was underwhelming on nearly every front. Beneath the hood, the Chevette came with a choice of a 1.4-liter or 1.6-liter inline-4 engine, producing a modest 53 to 60 horse. This translated into a sluggish driving experience, especially on highways or inclines, where merging or maintaining speed was a struggle. According to Car and Driver in 1977, the engine's primitive state of tune led to performance that could only be described as disappointing. From the outside, the Chevette's design did little to inspire enthusiasm. Its boxy, functional appearance lacked the personality seen in rivals like the Volkswagen Rabbit or even GM's own Pontiac Astra. Inside, the story wasn't much better. Hard plastics and bare-bones features dominated the cabin, offering minimal comfort or appeal. The seats were stiff, the controls felt cheap, and the layout was uninspired. As Motor Trend reported, the cramped interior and subpar ergonomics made it clear that cost-cutting was the priority. Reliability compounded the Chevette's woes. Owners frequently complained of stalling, excessive rust, and transmission problems. Stories abound of vehicles developing rust holes in the floorboards within a few years of purchase. One frustrated owner famously described how their Chevette shook violently at anything over 50 miles per hour, reflecting the car's shaky build quality and lack of refinement. Despite its faults, the Chevette sold in large numbers thanks to its rock-bottom price of just $28.99, making it one of the cheapest cars on the market at the time. 1970 Triumph Stag. The next car on our list is the 1970 Triumph Stag, a British roadster that promised luxury and style, but ended up as a textbook example of engineering gone wrong. At first glance, the Stag had it all: sleek, Italian-designed bodywork by Giovanni Michelotti, a convertible top, and the allure of open-air motoring. However, beneath its attractive exterior lay a host of mechanical issues that plagued owners and tarnished its reputation. Central to the Stag's problems was its 3.0-liter V8 engine, an ambitious design that unfortunately suffered from several critical flaws. One major issue was the engine's cooling system. The water pump was positioned high on the engine block, making it susceptible to airlocks if the coolant level dropped even slightly. This design flaw often led to overheating, which in turn caused cylinder head warping and head gasket failures. Compounding the problem, the engine block was made of iron, while the cylinder heads were aluminum, a combination that required the use of corrosion-inhibiting antifreeze year-round. Many owners, unaware of this necessity, neglected proper coolant maintenance, leading to internal corrosion and clogged radiators. Another significant issue was the engine's timing chain setup. The Stag utilized long, single-row timing chains that were prone to stretching and premature failure, sometimes occurring in less than 25,000 miles. A failed timing chain could result in catastrophic engine damage, including bent valves and damaged pistons. Additionally, the arrangement of cylinder head fixing studs, some vertical, others angled, led to uneven expansion and contraction, contributing to engine block warping and further reliability problems. 1973 Chevrolet Vega. The 1973 Chevrolet Vega was Chevrolet's ambitious attempt to compete with the likes of the Volkswagen Beetle and Toyota Corolla. On paper, it seemed promising, especially with its innovative 2.3-liter aluminum block inline-4 engine. However, this cutting-edge design turned out to be its downfall. The open-deck design of the engine block led to cylinder distortion under heat, causing excessive oil consumption and frequent head gasket failures. Valve stem seals also wore out prematurely, worsening oil-related issues. This combination of factors resulted in engines that were prone to overheating and, in some cases, complete failure. Rust was another Achilles' heel for Vega. Chevrolet cut costs by skipping proper rust-proofing procedures, leaving the car highly vulnerable to corrosion. Reports of rusted-out fenders, rocker panels, and doors emerged after just one winter, particularly in regions with harsh weather. The use of untreated steel and failure to seal moisture-prone areas further accelerated rust. Vega's troubles didn't stop there. The car suffered from multiple recalls, including defective axles and issues that could cause engine fires. By 1972, almost 85% of Vegas produced had been recalled at least once. This avalanche of problems destroyed customer trust and dealt a major blow to Chevrolet's reputation. 1975 Bricklin SV-1. The 1975 Bricklin SV-1 was envisioned as a groundbreaking Canadian sports car that emphasized safety without compromising style. Its distinctive gull-wing doors and fiberglass body certainly turned heads, but beneath the surface, the SV-1 was riddled with issues that led to its downfall. Under the hood, the Bricklin offered either an AMC 360 or Ford 351 Windsor V8 engine, both delivering respectable power. However, the car's hefty construction, partly due to its safety features, significantly hampered its performance. Automotive critic Dan Neal even included the SV-1 in his 50 worst cars of all time list, stating, "This thing couldn't outrun the Rose Bowl parade." One of the most iconic features, the electrically operated gull-wing doors, proved to be a major headache. They were heavy and placed a substantial drain on the battery, leading to frequent failures. Owners often found themselves trapped when the doors refused to open due to electrical malfunctions or a dead battery. To mitigate this, manual operating options were included from the start, but the problems persisted. The composite acrylic fiberglass body panels were another source of trouble. Persistent issues with bonding the acrylic to the fiberglass led to high rejection rates during production. As much as 60% of the acrylic used in the initial production months was lost due to failures in the pressing and bonding stages. Even after improvements, 15 to 25% of the parts continued to be rejected, highlighting significant quality control challenges. Additionally, the SV-1 suffered from water leaks, poor fit and finish, and a host of electrical problems, making ownership a constant battle. The combination of these issues, along with production inefficiencies and financial woes, led to the company's demise after producing fewer than 3,000 cars. The Bricklin SV-1 serves as a classic example of ambitious innovation undermined by practical execution failures. 1978 Dodge Omni. Another of the most failed cars of the 1970s is the 1978 Dodge Omni. Introduced in 1978, it had high hopes of shaking up the compact car market, aiming to take on European imports like the VW Rabbit. It was Chrysler's first attempt at a front-wheel drive car, which seemed like a step into the future. But in reality, the Omni turned out to be a bland, trouble-prone vehicle that struggled to live up to its promise. The design was heavily influenced by European styling, read, boxy and uninspired. While it wasn't offensive to look at, it lacked personality and originality. Under the hood, things weren't much better. Powered by a 1.7-liter inline-4 engine sourced from Volkswagen, the Omni managed a modest 75 horsepower. While this setup gave it decent fuel efficiency, the driving experience was dull. The acceleration felt sluggish, handling was clunky, and it often felt underpowered, especially with a full load of passengers or cargo. Quality control was another sore spot for the Omni. Early models were plagued by rust issues, with some cars showing significant corrosion within just a few years. Owners frequently complained about mechanical problems, particularly with the carburetor and electrical system. Consumer Reports highlighted these issues in the late 1970s, citing the Omni as an example of poor durability. 1970 AMC Gremlin. The 1970 AMC Gremlin was AMC's bold attempt to enter the subcompact car market during a time when fuel efficiency was becoming increasingly important. Launched on April 1, 1970, it featured a distinctive hatchback design that set it apart from its competitors. With a starting price of just $1,879, the Gremlin was marketed as the lowest-priced American car of its time. Under the hood, it came standard with a 99 cubic inch with 3.3-liter inline-6 engine producing 128 horsepower, providing adequate performance for urban driving. A larger 232 cubic inch with 3.8-liter 6-cylinder engine was also available, offering 135 horsepower. By 1971, AMC introduced a 304 cubic inch with 5-liter V8 engine, producing 150 horse for buyers looking for more power, though this came at the expense of fuel economy. The Gremlin's design was polarizing, with its stubby rear and angular lines garnering both praise and criticism. Inside, the car offered more interior space than many competitors, but its cost-cutting measures were evident. Cheap materials and lackluster craftsmanship affected the driving experience, and the car was prone to reliability issues, including starting difficulties, frequent breakdowns, and inconsistent build quality. Despite these challenges, the Gremlin found success in the market, thanks to its affordability and decent fuel economy during the 1970s energy crisis. It sold nearly 25,000 units in its first month alone, and over 670,000 during its production run from 1970 to 78. AMC positioned it as a budget-friendly alternative to imports, appealing to cost-conscious buyers. 1977 Plymouth Volaré. Let's take a closer look at the 1977 Plymouth Volaré, a car Chrysler hoped would modernize its lineup, but instead became infamous for its problems. One of its most notorious issues was severe rusting, which appeared alarmingly quickly, often within a year of ownership. Reports highlighted fenders, door panels, and other body parts succumbing to corrosion due to insufficient rust-proofing measures during manufacturing. Mechanically, the Volaré faced equally daunting challenges. The front suspension was prone to failure, sometimes separating from the frame under heavy braking. Brake lines near the battery corroded from acid exposure, and engine stalling was a frequent complaint. These flaws resulted in numerous recalls, making the Volaré one of the most recalled vehicles of its era. Despite these setbacks, the car sold remarkably well, with over 280,000 units in 1977 alone, thanks to its affordability and relatively good fuel economy during the late 1970s energy crisis. Prices started at approximately $3,800, positioning it as a budget-friendly alternative to imports. The Volaré was equipped with various engine options, including the reliable 225/6, the more robust 318 V8, and the larger 360 V8. However, even these engines couldn't overshadow the car's reliability issues. The Volaré's uninspired design further hurt its appeal in a competitive market filled with visually striking and better-built rivals. While Chrysler marketed the car aggressively, promising an economical and dependable family vehicle, the reality for many buyers was frequent repairs and mounting frustration. These issues eventually tarnished Chrysler's reputation, with the Volaré becoming a symbol of quality decline in American cars of the 1970s. 1975. Triumph TR7. The last car on our list is the 1975 Triumph TR7, a British sports car that aimed to captivate enthusiasts with its futuristic wedge-shaped design, earning it the moniker, "the shape of things to come." Under the hood, it housed a 2.0-liter inline-4 engine delivering approximately 105 horsepower. While this setup provided adequate performance for city driving, the TR7 was soon plagued by a series of issues that overshadowed its initial appeal. One of the most significant problems stemmed from its production at the Speak factory near Liverpool. This facility was notorious for poor labor relations, frequent strikes, and even instances of sabotage, leading to inconsistent build quality. Owners reported a litany of issues, including persistent electrical problems, oil leaks, and engine overheating. A survey by Road and Track revealed that 43% of TR7 owners experienced extended periods where their cars were out of service awaiting parts, and 40% cited poor overall quality as the car's worst feature. The interior didn't fare much better. It was criticized for being cramped and cheaply made, offering minimal comfort. Compounding these issues, Triumph's decision to produce only a hardtop version initially, anticipating potential U.S. regulations against convertibles, alienated enthusiasts who preferred open-top driving. A convertible model was eventually introduced in 1979, but by then, much of the initial enthusiasm had waned. In an attempt to address the quality concerns, production was moved from Speak to Canley in 1978 and later to Solihull in 1980. While these moves led to some improvements, the damage to the TR7's reputation was largely irreversible. What do you think? Did we leave out any unforgettable failures from the 1970s? Maybe you owned one, or had a love-hate relationship with a classic from that turbulent decade. We'd love to hear your stories, whether it's a quirky memory, a frustrating breakdown, or even a rare moment of triumph. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's share some nostalgia. Here at Muscle Car Masters, we're all about celebrating automotive history, warts and all. While the 1970s gave us incredible muscle cars, it also introduced some notorious missteps that taught manufacturers hard lessons. These cars, though flawed, shaped the future of the automotive world in unexpected ways. From the worst 70s cars ever to the most failed 70s cars, we cover it all. If you're passionate about American muscle cars and their stories, this is your place. Smash that like button, share this video with your car-loving friends, and subscribe to our channel for more muscle car nostalgia, in-depth reviews, and detailed explorations of automotive icons. Whether it's iconic muscle cars or failed 70s cars that left their mark, we've got you covered. Don't miss out on the journey. Join the family, and let's keep the conversation alive. Together, we'll dive into the rich, horsepower-filled legacy of American muscle cars. See you in the comments.